Aha!
What, are we on?
I think so. Early.
Okay, that's right, early. Check in, folks.
We're making up for the last couple.
Right. We'll see if we can. Although, I don't know, we got a lot of stuff today, so I might have to run over. I hope not.
It's no problem.
I'm going to cross some of this stuff off as we go
Hey,
along.
I will get on the producers of this show. Okay.
Okay.
I will tell them we're running over.
Yeah.
You guys make it happen.
That's right.
That's
Right. Speed it up. Do something.
That's right. This is the Jimmy Doane Show, everybody.
Once again.
That's us.
Yep.
I'm Counselor Curtis. That's Jimmy Doane. He's way over on the other side of the country, but I can still point right to him.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we do this twice a week these days at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Wednesdays and Sundays. Today is the 16th of January.
Are we on? Yeah, we're on Standard Time, right?
Oh yeah, we could be.
Eastern Time.
You never know. But yeah. So, what's going on?
Well, we had a lot of news. Of course, the big news is the shutdown continues.
Yes.
Ginsburg is still out, so to speak, whatever.
Yeah.
The Gillette ad has had a lot of the masculinity ad on.
The Gillette ad.
The Gillette ad is the big news.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was apparently the Amazon Echo, whatever it is, his box went rogue. Mm-hmm.
And we're done.
And we're done, right. No, there's a little bit more. Let me just start off here. Let me start off with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as always. On Wednesday, she asked President Trump to postpone the State of the Union.
Interesting.
Now, one of the reasons is because the shutdown, we don't have the, worried about security and blah, blah, blah. And what you can do,
What's the political reason, is right? But
Give me
there has to be a political reason.
Well, duh. She's worried about all. I guess she just doesn't want to give him another platform,
right?
To espouse what he wants to do in front of Congress. Now, there's a couple of things to remember here. You do want. They said it's a tradition that he meets in front of both the House, the whole government. Okay,
only for the last 100 years.
Right, exactly. That's the whole point. For the first 150 years, they wrote a letter. For God's sakes, this is it. Bang, take it for what you were. Who cares?
Yeah.
And so she said, write a letter.
Now it's a press conference.
Now it's a press conference.
It's a show. Well, it's like an awards show.
Of course, he can do, a couple things.
I did this. Yay!
Well, that's, again, one of the things that stops me from watching the thing, although it won't stop Mrs. Jimmy, who is a Kool-Aid drinker on the Trump.
It's like a Chinese water torture. You have to sit there and listen to every...
Well, the applause, the standing O's. There's 20 standing O's.
Yeah.
And while half of the House, half of the people sit there like this, and the other half are standing and cheering and going nuts. And so but that's one thing. So he could give it from the Oval Office, could make his thing. And the problem with that is he's not really good at that. He's a little stiff. And when he doesn't have an audience.
Right.
He doesn't have an audience, which is good news and bad news because you don't get the stupid applause.
Yeah.
You can stop for the laughs, but there's no laughter or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, the point. I didn't realize this, but apparently the powers that be that are going to listen to the State of the Union are supposed to invite him.
Yeah, that's what.
And without the invitation, supposedly, there's no State of the Union. It is automatic that they get the invitation out, but they haven't given it yet.
Oh, I think that's Nancy's, like you said, I think that's Nancy's job. I think she did give it.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, okay. She gave it on January the 4th. But now she's rescinding.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I guess we'll get to see whether or not she can rescind, because I can't imagine that Trump would resist the temptation to go on stage during his big show.
Are you kidding? Oh my God, I'll tell you. And we're going to have Lewis Black as the opener, and now here's President Trump.
That's it.
So
that's right. Yeah.
So that's good. They want to. Washington Post asked Trump to allow the government to reopen for. Oh, that's the other thing. Lindsey Graham came out for a while, and now he's rescinded that. He came out and said, "Can you open it up for like 3 weeks, and then we'll close it up again?
Yeah.
To get something settled, and then we can do
negotiation." Political posturing.
Well, the whole point is Trump has got to realize this, and this is what's amazing. In the past, and I think I mentioned this before, the Dems have always reneged on their part of the deal. You know, if you'll do this, we'll do that.
Of course, that's why the whole thing is a fool's errand from the beginning.
Absolutely, no question about it. And Trump knows this, which is why that's why Lindsey Graham backed off. He came out with this on, you know, some show on CNN or something, whatever it was, it's Fox News or something, or no, it was one of the Sunday morning shows. And by Monday he said, well, no, forget it.
Well, they're starting to use the Republicans against Trump now. They're starting to say, because they claim they have 10 of them or 15 or however many they need for the vote. So and now they're saying it's Mitch McConnell to reopen.
Really?
Yeah, that's what AOC tweeted out that today. She was like, "We got all the Republicans we need. We're just going to get Mitch McConnell to let us have the vote."
Okay, and he doesn't.
Right.
So then
you don't have all the Republicans.
There we go. You know, one of the famous things was, Abraham Lincoln was sitting in a cabinet meeting.
Right.
And,
yeah.
You know, then there were 6 or 8 or 10 cabinet people there, and he says, "Okay, there's 10 no's and 1 eye. The ayes have it."
The ayes have it, exactly. So, and that's the kind of thing that we're going to see here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you know, the idea. This is one of those things. This is what the news people jump on all the time, and you think this is such a nothing burger. It's going to happen.
Look. Well, you know what? The news people want him to cancel it so that they can say, this is their narrative. Things are so bad in the White House, he had to cancel the State of the Union address. It's unprecedented. Hasn't happened in 100 years.
Unprecedented.
Right.
Everything is unprecedented.
Of course. Look, this is all. They've got a whole bunch of trigger words that are all. Chaos. I love this one. So they're ready for any change at all if he does anything different from the norm.
It'll be unprecedented.
Right. Exactly. And now, of course, look, I know Trump's going to take the opportunity. I don't know what the Democrats are really worried about, though. If he comes out and he says, it's the Democrats, all they have to do is play the clip of him going, I'll own it.
Well, of course, you know, there's the montage, though, that's running around of them, Harry Reid, and all those people saying about the border.
Right, from the previous, from 5 years ago.
5 years ago and on back. And I mean, they were adamant about it, you know. So.
Well, they're just so obviously politicians.
You're right. Yeah, that's right. So, okay, the other big thing, which I'm not really all that clear on, so I'm just going to mention it, is this Representative King from Iowa.
Oh, right, yeah.
Apparently, he said, and I read whatever it was he said, and of course they're calling him the white supremacist. And what was fascinating about this is they thought this was a total racist thing or whatever, and the House condemned him with 1 abstention or one negative vote, and the 1 negative vote said you didn't go far enough.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. We want to censure him.
Oh.
You know this. What is this? You're giving him a little slap on the wrist or shake a finger.
This is the Republicans falling for the Al Franken trick. This is he came out and he said something
repugnant. They want him to resign and leave because of repugnant.
Right. Well, because of a statement that he made to a reporter.
Yeah.
Which that can never be misconstrued. First of all.
Right.
And then second of all, what did he do? Did he do anything? Did he propose some evil legislation?
What was interesting was
vote for Hitler.
He even voted to condemn himself.
Right. That's right.
He
that's just stupidity, though. Because I'll tell you what, like I said, they fell for the Al Franken, which is you have to punish your guy. And they all went, oh, okay, yeah, our guy's bad. And then they throw out their guy, and they're like, wait a minute, our guy wasn't that bad. And then of course the other people jump all over him immediately and said, see, they're shitheads because they had to throw out their guy. And they're just waking up to the fact of it. It's like this is just like the kindergarten political playground, if you ask me.
Kindergartners would poo-poo it.
Right, they would be like,
"Are you kidding?
I'm in first grade now. I'm sorry."
That's right, exactly. Okay, next thing. This is the other thing that is the big news. Of course, is the Trump not cohabitation, collusion with the Russians. That has all come back in spades.
Well, okay.
And what is interesting, the deal is that he's concealed. I think we mentioned this before. He's concealed his talks, and he kept the interpreters' notes.
Okay, we talked about this last time. You're right. One time they have alleged. This is the Washington Post. Look, to me, this is proof that the mainstream media have gone off the deep end into tabloid journalism. The Washington Post came out and said first that Trump's having, like you said, taken the notes of his own interpreter on one occasion at a meeting where there were other people present. That was the meeting where Tillerson was present and gave readouts to the press and to the Congress, and yet they didn't feel they were fully informed as to what happened at the meeting. So they wanted the interpreter's notes,
right?
Or they wanted this. Look, they don't want. This is just so that they can try to frame this as something evil.
Frame is the right word.
Right, exactly.
It's called a frame up.
Look, you got to think about it. What are the purposes for notes? There's only a couple of purposes for notes. I've used interpreter a bunch of times in legal proceedings, and interpreters will record what's going on for a couple of reasons. Number one, to make sure they got it right. They can listen to it back again and go, wait a minute, I said this, they said that. Maybe in context, I should have reinterpreted it this way or something like that. Secondly, so that you can remember what happened. Now, the interpreter doesn't need to remember what happened because they're just there interpreting. So who needs to remember? Trump needs to remember. This is a meeting between he and Putin, him and Putin, the two top guys, and he needs to know what's going on. So you keep the notes. Those are, to me, the most two obvious reasons. And then there's all the other ones people have been going into about how there were leaks in the White House and people were going after the interpreter to get information.
They're going to subpoena.
Yeah, which is just silly on so many levels. And
it's interesting that they think he's trying to keep some secret.
Which,
I think what they're harking back to, which is kind of humorous, is the open mic with Obama, who was with the ambassador and said, "Hey, look, well, I'll get through this election, and then I can do whatever I want."
That's right. To Medvedev.
And maybe Trump did the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Except that he didn't, and Obama did.
Well, but not only that. What's interesting is that they are now thinking that he's a Manchurian candidate. They literally think he is working as a Russian. Now,
see, you blew my joke there. I had a good joke about that because I was going to say they could write a movie about this.
Oh yeah,
plot, and they have. Look,
twice. They wrote the original one 40 years ago, and then they had a rerun.
Right.
I mean, a repeat.
Look, that exactly. My first reaction to the New York Times story was just. Let me just take a minute to laugh out loud at the ridiculousness of the suggestion that the United States president is a Russian agent. Okay, now we have the 18 reasons I'm posting. Our listeners can see.
Oh, really? I didn't. Oh, I heard about these.
Yes, these are the 18 reasons that CNN has posted. These are the 18 reasons why CNN has gone off the deep end.
Well, what's funny is that CNN, being the communist news network.
Right,
would know.
Well, clearly, when you look through these things, they are laughable beyond laughable. I was going to do a parody on this, but you don't have to.
You don't have to
because it's its own parody.
Its own parody, right?
Look at just number one, financial ties to Russia. The guy's a billionaire. He has financial ties, I guarantee you, to the 50 richest countries on earth.
Well, not only that, when they talk about financial ties, what constitutes a tie? When your guy over here knows this guy over here who knows this guy who's invested. Oh, there's your tie.
There you go. Well, and it wouldn't surprise me if he wouldn't directly invest it.
I wouldn't either. Right. Wouldn't surprise me either.
He doesn't speak Russian. And, he hasn't been. What?
How do you know?
Yeah, exactly. But then what I love there's a couple in here that just prove the point here just so beautifully.
Okay.
Number 3 is my favorite one. It says, Russia, if you're listening. Now, this is their allegation that he communicated with Russia.
Right.
Okay. In his campaign speech at the University of Miami. What kind of a Clouseau agent do you have to be to go, check, boss, are you listening? Come in, Russia. Come in, Russia. I'm gonna make an announcement. Please gather the emails. Now, it's just
pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone. It is so ridiculous to suggest that he was trying to communicate with Russia in that campaign speech. And then the interpreter notes we just did. Yeah. So just unbelievable. And then number 18 here, they show you what they really want you to believe, which is he's sowing chaos per Russian objectives.
Right.
Which is like the most vague evil accusation. He's sowing. First of all, the verb, like that is such a clickbait verb. And then chaos. Everybody knows, no matter what you know about any sort of activity, you know that if it's chaotic, it's evil.
Well, chaos, of course, was the bad guys with what was the guy with the funny guy with all the gadgets.
Inspector Gadget?
Yeah, well, but it was before him. And he's had way too much of this, and had his girlfriend, Agent 99, and
oh, okay, right.
And it was
Get Smart.
Yeah, Get Smart, right? But I mean, I think his the opposite was chaos.
The group.
The group. Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise.
Wouldn't surprise. There was at least one group that was chaotic.
Chaos is how they were in Dungeons and Dragons. The most evil characters are the chaotic ones. Okay, so
well, and Chaotica was in Flash Gordon.
There you go.
I mean,
Done.
Yeah.
Okay, per Russian objectives. It's amazing to me that.
Well, they tried to sow chaos, of course, with all during the run up to the election with the Facebook postings and everything, the trolls and all that stuff. That's what they were trying to do, is to sow chaos.
The Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That was that was on the list there. Is Russian hacking and his denial of the Russian hacking, and it's the silliest.
What gets me is that he actually came out and said, "I've never been a Russian agent," and I'm thinking, why would you even bother?
Well, no, he didn't say that. That was the big thing. Is he got softballed the question?
I never worked for Russia, Trump told reporters on the South Lawn.
Oh, that must have been
It's a disgrace that you even think to ask that question. It's all a big fat hoax.
Oh, well, that must have been the follow-up, because he went on to Fox News, Judge Pirro or whatever.
Yeah, right, Janine, yeah.
And she asked him the softball question, and he said, I'm terribly insulted by that question. And everybody was, look, he didn't deny it. He didn't deny it.
Yes.
So he must have come out. That must have been
there you are. I mean,
straight denial. But no, you look at that, and then the other thing I loved this last weekend was that they fact-checked the height of the hamburger pile.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
And he said it was a mile high.
No, there wasn't even that. It wasn't even, that was bad enough. That was the horrible part. But I mean, that was just you sit there and you think, this must be some trailer guy, trainer in the place. They said, go ahead and fact check this. But did you saw the table and everything?
Yeah.
And they were saying, this is beneath the dignity of the White House. It was perfect.
Oh, you liked it?
No. Not only that, they liked it. They interviewed, what's his name, the quarterback, the Clemson quarterback.
I can't believe that.
And
to me, this was a silly thing. I would have done, if I were hit. Why? He's got billions of dollars. He's spent like a couple of grand on this party.
Okay, so? But my point is, they loved it. It was perfect. What do you want 290-pound football players? Are you going to give them a big fat steak at a table with waiters? No, bullshit. You bring them in there, and you have this table full of the hamburgers, and as somebody said, well, there were none left when it was gone. But they interviewed the quarterback, the guy that was the hero, and he said it was perfect. I loved it.
All I
wanted to do was meet the president. I don't care what I had to eat.
Well, right. And my supposition is, I would say probably half of them are that way. Maybe a third of them thought that it was cool because they got to eat Big Macs or something in the White House. But I gotta believe 4/5 of them, and of course that adds up to more than 100%. We're hoping for a nice meal at the.
Nah.
You don't think so?
No, I think it was. Let me put it this way: you can hope.
It's not the pro guys. Okay, this is not.
No, these are college students.
Right, and so they don't have the cash to go to a super nice restaurant all the time, versus like the pro guys can treat themselves to anything they want at any time.
Well, let me put it this way: these guys, you can say what you want, but I'll guarantee you, when they eat in the athletic dorm or wherever, it ain't cheap food. They don't give the football players crap.
Well, it may not be crap, but it's not what you would eat at the White House or what you would expect to eat for your celebratory dinner.
Here's the deal. They might have thought, just for a second, wouldn't it be nice if we were at a state dinner? Okay, now you have to understand there was like 100 of them, okay?
Yeah.
Or more. So anyway, but the bottom line is when you walk in there, and you see it all stacked up with Wendy's and McDonald's and all the other stuff, fries and all the other stuff that was there. I mean, it was a pretty broad spectrum of food. There were salads and everything there.
What are you talking about?
You go in there and you think, and all of a sudden you say, okay, so I'm not going to be able to think, but I'm here meeting the president, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but
and I get to have all the food I want, and I can drop it all over the floor, and then somebody will clean it up. I thought it was perfect.
If they were Pee Wee League, it would have been perfect. If they were under 10, it would have been perfect. Then it would have been perfect.
Okay, well,
college kids, come on, man. You're bringing them into the White House. You invite them all the way to Washington to have dinner, and what you serve is probably what they ate on the trip.
Say what you want.
To me, that's like,
okay, you and I can disagree on this, but I personally thought it was perfect because I'm sitting there thinking it was mostly to meet the president.
Look,
that's what in the past.
I agree with that.
They've never had a dinner for the winning teams when they have.
What?
No. In the past, they've just come through and met the president and everything. I don't believe they ever when they
do it
had the
every
winning
year.
basketball teams.
Yeah, no, they do it every year. For all the national champs get to go. That's like one of your gigs. Is one you know that when you start college, you win the national.
So are you telling me the national champs last year got a sumptuous dinner?
Absolutely.
I don't believe it.
Well, I guarantee
we'll pull it up. Okay, somebody do some research on that because here's the deal. Last year he was president, and so he would have congratulated the national champs, and with I guess a White House dinner with the waiters and
Pretty
everything.
sure they did that.
You think so?
Yeah.
And then this year they didn't.
Right.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure they do it every year for the football national champs and the basketball national champs and maybe even the baseball national champs.
And high school baseball, you mean?
No. This college.
College. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, sometimes the high school, I don't know which teams, but some high school, like some national or world, like the World Series baseball winners, I bet you they go. And I bet you, and the Super Bowl, right? And the Super Bowl, sorry, you can't come in here. Security. The Super Bowl winners,
Iranians win the World Baseball.
I'm pretty sure that all the winners of all the major sports, Stanley Cup, Super Bowl, World Series, Wimbledon, they all get to go. So that's
all right. Well, somebody who is listening to this is hopefully going to do some research because
they all know.
All right. Well, whatever you say, it shows you how much.
Hey,
I know.
We'll check the comments, see if anybody
This shows you how much I know about sports.
Ah.
So okay. So Senator Graham, of course, has opened it temporarily, and okay. Another thing is the race card is being pulled out again, which is interesting. CBS News is slammed. Of course, they're for lack of African Americans on political embed teams. So they've already set up the team that's going to follow for the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got a day or two to go before that. I mean, and they're all. I guess they're basically all white.
No, they're
not all white, but they're
like half
a lack of African Americans.
Well, yeah, out of the 8-man team or 12-man team, I think 4 of them are Asian in some way, or certainly minorities, and then but there's no African Americans, I guess.
Anyway, they're all bent out of shape about it. As always, everything devolves into a race question. It's just stunning. And that brings up something I don't have here. The funny thing of the day was this was a CNN lady or whatever it was. She was interviewing this guy who another pundit, I guess, and she called him a white supremacist.
Well, she said he had white privilege.
White privilege. And he said, you might want your staff to do a little
check your camera.
Check your camera, because I'm black. And I just thought, and it's totally slammed. I mean,
it's a good little pushback on.
But it's hysterical to see that this is the kind of thing that is so outrageous, and you get hoisted by your own petard on this, and no embarrassment, no.
Oh, it's all over the place today.
I know
it's only been on 24 hours, and this will be a talking point for a while.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, because the push has been from the other side for a long time now.
Okay. All right. Well, moving along. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of interesting. The Mexican fuel shortage stretches into the second week, which is interesting. Mexico, from whom we get a lot of oil from, and they've got the refinery and everything like that, but they've run out of gas. And one of the problems is apparently the thieves are poking holes in their gas lines and filling up, their 5-gallon, what are those, jerry cans or whatever it is.
What's the problem with their gas supply?
They're being stolen. And so the cars are lined
Why
up
is
like...
it being stolen?
Oh, well, because I don't know why. It's being stolen by the cartels or somebody, who knows what. It's basically that accounting for the shortage at the pumps. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing all the lines as they had, like we had in the 70s.
Right.
10 gallons only, blah,
Right,
blah,
but
blah.
that was, of course, because the government got involved. And you had big players.
Right, that was because of that. But I thought it was interesting. What they're doing is they're apparently there's so many punctures in their gas line that's one of the things that the gas is not getting through to the place where the trucks can pick it up. But people are running out there with their jerry cans and filling up, and so they want to put the military out there to stop it. So we'll see what happens. And anyway, it's just kind of a minor thing in a way. It shows you. It's interesting that the government is so helpless that they can't. The cartels are so strong that they can punch holes to distribute chaos through the Mexican people or whatever it is.
Well, we know Mexico has a terrible cartel problem because of the whole drug smuggling situation.
Yeah, they do. Let's see. They want to. House lawyers are going to try and find out if they want to subpoena the
Interpret.
notes. Yeah, that's okay. Another thing, here's an update on the 2020 Democrat running president people. Gillibrand has announced, and she's expected to move. Now, all these people are, when you look at them, when you look at their platforms, I mean, these people make Ocasio, AOC, look, positively moderate.
No.
Okay. All right. Maybe not. Okay. Forget it.
They're all on the same page. We all know.
I know that. But here's what we got: Elizabeth Warren, Julian Castro, John Delaney, Richard Ojeda, Andrew Yang, not Young, Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Kristen Gillibrand, we just said, Amy Klobuchar or whatever, and maybe Joe Biden. But that's starting to get up to as many as there are more than the Republicans had. So it'll be seeing to see how that winnows out. Mm-hmm. But also with the government, Ruth Bader Ginsburg has missed another couple of days or whatever, and she's working from home. And she's working from home, and the free of cancer, 85-year-old justice, and what she said was, "I'm 85. My senior colleague, Justice John Paul Stevens, he stepped down when he was 90, which means I have about 5 more years." Now, what's interesting is the people that are cheering for her to be, on the beach with Bernie. Yeah. What was it? The Weekend with Bernie type thing to hold her up, or the other people that are saying, well, could she retire, die, and let.
That's hideous.
No, of course it's hideous. I'm saying,
right.
Look, if you think that is not running through the minds of a fairly substantial number of people,
sure it is. But nobody. It doesn't
nobody's
matter.
Going to come out and say it, obviously.
Well, not only that, but it doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
Right.
This one is being controlled by higher power.
That's right. Exactly.
And she can say she's got 5 years all she wants. She might have 10. She might have 10 minutes.
Right.
You never know. And at that age, it's disconcerting that she's back in the hospital.
Yeah. No, this is not with. Apparently, she's going to stay at home for an indeterminate amount of time. She hasn't given any time frame on when she's coming back. Mm-hmm. But she's listening to the thing and I guess she's going to get to rule. I don't know if you have to actually be there or no. I guess she can.
Man, they'll accommodate her any way possible.
Okay. All right.
As long as she's still of sound mind, she's fine.
Okay. Well, that was another thing. Of course, there have been all kinds of people that have been coming out and calling for the 25th Amendment on Trump.
Well, I haven't heard that in the last few weeks.
Totally. In
the last few weeks, I mean, in the last week or so, there was at least one person, I don't know if I have it here, but there was a fellow who said if he calls a national emergency or something like that, that this is, prima facie evidence that he's nuts. Right.
And we need to...
If he's a Republican.
Right. Yeah, right. So anyway, if Ginsburg, the Dems, of course, have a ace in the hole, whatever, they have a trump card on Ginsburg. Packing the court.
Yeah, but you can't just pack it. It's not.
Some leftists want to pack the Supreme Court to make it more, quote, progressive. The idea is this: the next time Democrats control both the Congress and the presidency, they can raise the number of justices, and of course they could. That's what Roosevelt threatened to do. And the sad part was, at the time, it was a very empty threat, and most of the people sort of knew it, and yet this is how he got some of his stuff through. That's how the justices, including my great-grandfather, even though he was still on the Four Horsemen, but some of the liberal stuff got through because some of the liberal justices that were on the Supreme Court in 1937 were panic-stricken that they were going to actually do that. And so
he was a bluffer. He was good at
he was
political stuff.
Okay, let me just see here. Oh,
I mean, he would have done it if he could have. Yeah, Roosevelt felt like he could have done anything. This is Mr. Four Terms.
Well, at that time, of course, he was only 2.
Right. Well, but
no, I mean he was barely into his second term.
But he had all the momentum that was going to carry him through 4.
Yeah, you say that, but I mean the real momentum I think came with the war. Yeah. So the air traffic controllers, interesting, have decided to sue because they're not getting paid. Some are not getting paid, and they're worried. Now, of course, they're not supposed to go on strike. In other words, part of their
federal employees.
Federal employees. Well, you remember when Reagan fired them all?
Yeah.
And so you're out. And of course, the other thing is everybody's hollering about the safety this and safety that, which is interesting because
planes have been dropping out of the skies.
Yes, all over the place. I mean, 2 or 3 right out. One's coming over. I was going to salvage the parts in my backyard here because it was some new stuff.
It's been a rash of poisoning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Poisonings because of the food.
The air mixture is really out of whack. I've been feeling
ozone. Yeah. Right. That's right. And yeah, it's really been bad. So that's it. It goes on to say, so much of this stuff, of course, can be handled privately. A lot of people don't realize this. I believe it's in Switzerland that the air traffic control in Switzerland is all private. I believe
it doesn't surprise me, but look, as we've talked about a million times, the free market will fill needs. If You've got a need, people will come in.
Well, this is another thing. Speaking of TSA, which we're not, but I'm dovetailing into that. They're having the sick outs and the sick ins or whatever. But somebody was telling me that I think it's in San Francisco. It's private. It's not a TSA. It's the airport security, and people are saying that people move through pretty quickly, everything, and then they have a reason to, and they're fun people. They talk to you back and forth and everything.
Right.
Apparently, it shows you the difference right there on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot more sense. It's still a fool's errand from the standpoint of what they're trying to do and what they force their people to do. So I would imagine it's still quite abrasive and intrusive.
Well, especially when they're running their hands up your leg.
That's what I'm talking about.
God, I mean, can you imagine? Until they find some resistance.
It's 2019. We're 18 years after 9/11, and we're still getting groped at the airport.
Boy, I'll tell you, there was a Becky Akers today wrote in. I think it was in the Lou Rockwell Screed or whatever. She had a little essay about, and she was really, I'm sorry, what do you really think? So she was talking about the groping, but she had all these adjectives to talk about these people as the worst scum of the planet, the TSA people, and what they do. And she cited a whole bunch of stuff, the grandmother with the little colostomy bag, and then she had to get up.
They screen like 5 million people a day.
I know.
There's going to be horror stories
with
that kind of a thing. It's just the fact that we've set them up to fail. We have it's like having the police enforce the freaking lemonade stands.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Shoot them up. Run them over with the car, man. Girl Scouts everywhere. I mean, that's what we've tasked them to do. Is okay, grope all these people.
But I mean, the fact that they, how do you go to sleep at night knowing that's what you do?
You convince yourself.
I know you do. Look, if you can convince yourself to stand on the Berlin Wall and shoot your countrymen,
right? Exactly.
You can convince anybody.
And you have to know a lot of these people. I mean, when at the end of the day, people have been through a lot of stuff. A lot of people have been through a lot of stuff. You can have somebody who's straight out of prison go into the transportation authority. I would imagine. I don't think there's any prohibition against.
And what was your last job? Actually, I was the librarian at Folsom Prison.
That's right. But if your crime was embezzlement or drug smuggling or something, has nothing to drug smuggling, I suppose.
Probably.
Probably shouldn't be working for the DSA.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Boy, yes, I would be fine. And
I'd like a job in cargo.
I want to. When Luigi is coming through with a big bag, go ahead, Luigi. It's
That's
fine.
right. Hey, it's my buddy.
Bye-bye. That's my buddy.
So, yeah, maybe not. But I can't imagine the qualifications are that stringent.
Okay, let me move along here. This is another thing because of the shutdown. Billions in food stamp payments to come early because of the shutdown.
What
Now, I
could
thought this
possibly go
a
wrong?
partial government shutdown, they say, longest in U.S. history now, means that millions of low-income Americans are got to get their February food stamps a few weeks earlier. Now, a lot of people, I think there's still 44 million people on food stamps.
It's a lot, yeah.
And so what happens is the way they're going to run out of money somehow in January, and so they wouldn't be able to get their February EBT card or whatever you get. And so so anyway, they're going to give them all early. Well, there's of course good news and bad news. The stores, which is kind of the free market thing, it's when they're going to basically have all this money early. So I guess they're going to maybe shopping early, and the stores are sitting there saying, "Wait a minute, they're going to come in here and want 3 loaves of bread instead of 1 or whatever." So we're going to have to stock up. So it's interesting that the stores are already, looking ahead for the influx of the SNAP people. Yeah.
The wave. Well, did you read the percentage of retail shopping that is constituted by EBT and food stamp purchases?
No, 20%.
It's something like I think it was 30% in the article. Now, if that's accurate, and we've heard stories, and I don't know, but we heard reports of there being a wave of purchasing at the release of the funds every month.
Right.
And basically, the stores like Walmart and Dollar Store will stock up and be ready for that wave.
Right.
So this is going to mistime the wave, basically.
Right.
So
exactly.
that's what they're
talking about.
And they probably have just-in-time delivery for a lot of stuff.
Boy, they do, yeah.
And so, what a mess. I say that. Of course, the people will just have to wait a few days and then go back in, and then they'll be fine to be able to buy whatever they want.
Well, one of the things you do find out is that whatever you're talking about, just in time, blah blah blah, they have now, a couple of weeks' notice at least. One of the things you can tell about private enterprise, which we've always seen, is they can adapt to almost anything. Witness when Walmart was trying to deliver ice to Katrina, and the only reason they couldn't do it was or water and ice. But it's because FEMA stopped them. It's unsafe to go in. I'm driving. I'm okay. I'm getting. And so, other than that, they would have done it. They were prepared.
We've got enough water.
Yeah, we have enough water. Of course, it's all salt water and it's in the ground. Yeah, okay. So, but anyway, they talk about serious logistics, and they were talking about the fact that there might be something, but the market system, the beauty of the market system is it will always take.
It'll correct, and that'll be fine. To me, the biggest hiccup is if somehow they manage to spend all their money before they're going to get their February payments, and then be out. I mean, we have to figure if they're rationing properly, then they still have supplies for the end of January. Even though they get their money early, they don't really have to shop early with the money. They can wait.
Yeah, who's going to do that?
Nah, nobody.
Well, I can tell you, I do also know for a fact from my apartments that I used to have over here, that when there's a big influx of Social Security money, that the drug dealers all line up on Fridays.
Tax time.
And so the cars coming in, I've got to call the sheriff and say, look, if you want to arrest anybody, Friday night is the time to do it.
There's a line of people.
And then, of course, they have a lookout and everything. So anyway, I sold those. So let's see. Oh, next thing that I've got here is Rand Paul is heading to Canada for his hernia surgery. Ooh, look out! Canada has health care, blah blah blah. And you can't go here in good old America. You can't get. Well, of course, it's really funny. First of all, he's paying for it himself.
Okay.
He's out of his own pocket. It's just going to be an $8,000 operation. But it turns out that this hospital he's going to is a hernia specialist hospital. And so he's going to pay for it himself. And, what
sounds suspicious.
Well, what's interesting, of course, is how many people come to the United States from their healthcare countries, from Canada. In fact, there are people that come from Canada
What's
for
the
radiation.
exchange, I wonder? I said, I wonder what the exchange is. I wonder what the ratio, people coming here to people going there is.
Oh, I don't know.
Canada, you've got, now that there's a half a dozen socialized medicine countries around.
Right. No. I mean, people very
Did you hear
often.
about the waiting, the lines and that kind of stuff, the waiting lists?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Especially in the UK.
Right. There's no question. I mean, there is no question about it.
How is he getting a private doctor in Canada?
Oh, they have them.
They do?
Oh, totally they do. Yeah, there are private places, and I think this is one of them. I think this hospital is a private one. But
Well, I would imagine it is if he's going to pay for it out of his own pocket.
well, again,
He's not a Canadian citizen or anything.
No.
He can't be.
No, he can run for president. So no, but again, I don't know. I mean, there is a safety valve even in Canada, although I guess it's pretty expensive. I don't know. I mean, $8,000 for an operation seems pretty cheap.
It does.
I mean, if it was here, it'd be 20, 25 or 30 for something like that, easy. So anyway, the hoorah is, why are you leaving the country, you bum? You can get it done here. And I'm thinking,
Well, what they're trying to imply, of course, is that he's going to a place where there's socialized medicine, and therefore he internally knows and admits that socialized medicine is the way forward.
Right.
Because that's how he's taking care of himself.
Yeah.
Although, if, as you say, this is a private hospital, then
I believe it is, and even if it isn't, the point is he can call up and apparently bypass the waiting line. So, however, I don't know how he does it or whatever. But
Well, yeah, that's a scary thought. If you think about, if he's in fact taking advantage of the socialized medicine, the next question should be: how is he able to do that? And
okay,
how is
well,
he
he's
able to
not a
skip the line?
Canadian citizen, so
Right.
he can't take advantage. Obviously,
No, I know, but what I'm getting at is, in a socialized system, the determinant for the rationing of care is politics. It's not merit or money.
No.
And so therefore, he
If
could just
you're-
have a connection. He could just have a buddy, and they could just be like, "Hey, we don't need to take care of these Canadian citizen people. You can just come on up and skip the whole line.
Look.
Don't worry about them. They'll be fine in the hall while we do your surgery in
look,
here."
it's like the commissars.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's fine. You get to go in the no waiting line.
That's right.
It's that simple. It's like at Disney when you buy the extra ticket. Next thing here locally in California.
pass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. You have a hernia pass. Okay. The California governor proposes a tax on water, and of course my comment was, well, air is next, as we've talked about before.
It's a coming.
Yes. All right. Just released budget. This is from the new liberal governor. California for All calls drinking water a fundamental right, and adds the budget includes short-term
And
measures.
thus, it can be taxed. I mean,
A fundamental right. You have fundamental right to life. Well, your liberty can be taxed, and your life can be taxed, and your pursuit of happiness can be taxed. So, anyway, water can be taxed. Bring immediate relief to communities without safe drinking water, and also proposes ongoing sustainable funding source, in other words, a separate tax, to address this problem into the future. Specifically, he wants new taxes on water, fertilizer, and dairy to provide this fundamental right, which is, of course, kind of interesting because when your fundamental right is you're going to take taxes on fertilizer and dairy, I guess they're not fundamental rights because you get to tax them.
yeah. Well, this is just a takeover attempt. The concept out there is
Special fund.
right. As you may recall, California has a drill at will rule.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're allowed to take as much water out of the ground as you can get.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and so and it's always been like that, and that's one of their sort of pitfalls, if you will, because the concept is whoever has the deepest well can just keep spraying their.
Well, but they get most of their water from the Sierra Nevada mountains or something. Isn't all the snow runoff and everything is most of their water?
Yeah,
isn't
but
it?
I think it ends up underground.
It ends up in these lakes. What are you talking about? They have these big pipes, big huge pipes that come down.
They do, and they have the big reservoirs and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I know that's true, but there are some groups that are claiming that it's the
I understand that this is.
extraction of huge amounts of groundwater.
We've seen this here in Florida.
Right, and the agriculture is what takes most of it. The almonds really are the suckers of water.
Right, that's the truth. Yeah.
And so
it's like growing wine in North Dakota. I mean, grapes. I mean, give me a break.
They're growing almonds in the desert.
Yeah. No,
but
you grow almonds where like in a rice paddy or something.
But this sounds like an attempt to alter that fundamental relationship between the Californians and their water. This sounds like a concept where they're going to be like, okay, now we're going to go ahead and tax this or that. Even if you pull it out of the water, you have to pay for it. If you pull it out of the ground, you have to pay for it, or something like that. And we're going to use it sounds like they're going to use the proceeds to deliver water to the places where it's most
That's
needed.
the thing that they want to do, is they want to deliver the water to the less fortunate, let's say, the disadvantaged communities.
Right. And there are some relatively dry communities there.
Okay, you don't live there.
Right, I'm with you. You go where the water is.
As Sam Kinison used to say, you know, you're taking food to these people out in the middle of Africa desert. Move the people to where the food is.
No, we're going to set up an unsustainable delivery system.
Yeah, exactly.
So then that way, when the government shuts down, everybody dies in the town.
It's happened before. So anyway, they're going to the State Water Resources Control Board to assist communities, particularly disadvantaged, in paying for the short-term and long-term costs, all the costs, in other words, to access to safe and affordable drinking water. Well, you know, okay, so I mean, the bottled water people are there. You know, of course, that's only about 10 times the price of your tap water. And of course, one of the last things I've got here to go into a couple of light notes.
Okay.
Florida man chews up the seat of a police officer after a cocaine arrest, which is kind of interesting because what happened was they put him in the back seat.
Pick on Florida, man.
I know. Well, this is what Dave Barry always says. And if you want to have some fun, go read every day. It's called Dave Barry's blog, and somebody sends in, or people send in the headlines.
This podcast brought to you by Dave Barry.
Dave Barry, that's right. Miami Herald, whatever. And what happens is there's some crazy thing that happened like this, and then the readers of the column will leave their comments. And they're just hysterical. I mean, there's a usual cadre of people, but I think this is interesting. Said in a news release, 37-year-old Melvin Stubbs of Homestead was originally arrested and charged with cocaine and resisting arrest after they found 40 grams of cocaine. But it's interesting that he was on cocaine. Obviously, if you're going to chew up the back seat of the car, anyway, they want to assess him damages for wanting to pay for the seat.
Sounds like he was just trying to get back at the cop or something. I don't know.
Chewed up the seat.
Yeah, he's probably a serious mental case. He really was.
If he was on cocaine, he was.
Well, even when you're on cocaine, you're not chewing up somebody's car. Yeah, that's he's on bath salts or he's
or Tide Pods.
Yeah, and seriously, that guy's messed up.
Okay. Another little note from Alaska.
Aha!
This was a great video, if you've seen it. It was a moose walks into an Alaska hospital and finds a snack. It was all over YouTube, and if you haven't seen it, it's really funny. You can just moose in hospital, and it'll show you. Because right away, of course, the hospital staff come out with their little cameras and take. And the moose basically, apparently, this is in Fairbanks, and apparently the door had been left ajar, the entrance door, because of the cold or something. And the moose just walked in and started munching away on the foliage that's in the breeding area, munched away on it, and the cops showed up. Here in Florida, of course, they'd have blast moose meat, but they're standing around laughing, just, it's a moose. I mean, this is a 2,000 pound, largest in North America animal. And they're just standing around kind of, and after about 10 minutes or so, the moose just turns around and the door slides back open and she walks out. And nobody cared. It was just like another day in Mooseville. You have to laugh that they didn't even think about it. But here it would have been.
They're lucky the moose didn't A, take a big dump right there in the middle of the thing, or B, just decide to tear some crap up, because I mean well, again,
this was an Alaskan moose, and they're kind of, it might have been a Canadian moose actually, which how common they are.
I
mean they're Canadian moose. I'm sorry, I ate your stuff. Excuse me.
That's right.
I'm now eating. Okay, next item. Let's see. Did we talk about the Gillette ad?
I think we mentioned it last week, didn't we? But
No, they're calling for the Gillette ad is about a 2-minute ad and it's a masculinity type thing,
right?
But apparently it has this huge backlash, which is good news for Gillette, I think, because as we talked about before,
they've had like millions of likes,
millions
of views,
millions, and of course there's this, there's a people that are saying that this is an anti-masculine ad, actually, because they show the fathers being more women-y like, or whatever, and this is a bad father, lets the kids fight it out or something. The good father walks in, no, don't hit. I have not seen it.
It's just brilliant advertising.
Well, of course it is.
Another razor company's already gotten in on this.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Like it was Harry's or something.
Harry's has come in. Of course, they also ran a.
I've never even heard of them, but you have now.
You have now. It is interesting because they're not. It reminds people, of course, of the fact that Nike kept on Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I mean, and sales went up. You sit there and the backlash is the is the front lash for the razor company. My God,
they're loving it.
They're loving it totally. I mean, the extra bunch.
Well, and it's such a trolling.
Do really well.
It's such a trolling type ad.
Yeah.
Because they don't identify any specific acts or anything.
No.
It's just the toxic part of masculinity.
Right.
So it's left open to your interpretation, and then of course. There's much people who want to be like, well, there's nothing wrong with being a man.
Well, people were complaining about the mix also of races and women and so forth. In the ad, how many people were white and how many were women and so forth. And,
there were women in the Gillette ad.
There was they were in the background or something, I believe. Yeah, there was like a picnic or something, or a backyard barbecue or something. Yeah. So anyway, that was the other thing. Let me back up 1 second to Alaska again. The comments were great. One of the major comments was they heard when the moose was there, somebody comes out and says, "Where is squirrel?"
Yeah, right. Yeah.
From Natasha. Okay, next item. This I thought was kind of interesting. Costco, bucket of mac and cheese with a 20-year shelf life sells out in one day. Here's the deal. This is a 20-pound bucket of mac and cheese, and it sold for $87 or something like that. But it had a 20-year shelf life supposedly. Okay, but they sold out. I mean, who is buying 20 pounds and going to hold it for 20 years of mac and cheese? You go and you get a little thing like this, or
sounds like a picnic to me.
Well, at the very least, but it was interesting to me that it's sold out. I mean, this is what Costco...
Big picnic.
I mean, when you go in there, I've never seen a box of cornflakes that big.
Let me ask you this, was there a guy with sort of orangey complexion and funny hair? Was he the guy that bought the...
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, that was the guy. That was the guy, all right. It's reported to hold 180 servings of Chef's Banquet macaroni and cheese storage bucket at $90 each, $2 a serving. So, all right. So there's that thing, and then finally, of course, there's a group calling for the boycott of Gillette. And the last thing that I've got is that Amazon apparently stopped working for several hours, and it went rogue, as they say, and it wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and it started doing stuff like. Just you couldn't turn it off. You don't have an Alexa here, do you?
Oh no.
Okay. Because
Oh, you mean that Amazon? Okay.
Yeah.
Alexa.
So and so what was happening was
she was just ordering you movies and
stuff. Yeah, right. It was just, as they say, gone rogue, and it reminded me, of course, of the two things. One was iRobot, where in iRobot, the central thing there went rogue, and what's his name had to turn it off or whatever he did, and then also in Skynet, that kind of stuff. So here we are, and here's the beginning of it. Here's the warning. The warning is there was for 6, and it wasn't all over the place. It was mostly I think in Great Britain and some little bit on the East Coast or something where you would holler at it, nothing would happen, or it would come back with some other comment, or it turn some, lights are flashing or whatever it was. But I thought it was interesting that now here's your AI, buddy.
Well, it's funny that it's in everybody's house.
It is. It's in mine. I mean, the problem is, I've had it forever. I was one of the people that literally bought it. I was on their beta list or whatever, and I got one before they were on sale, and of course they've enhanced its capabilities. But one of the things that happens is whenever I'm listening to the radio or the TV or anything, and somebody happens to mention that word, it fires right up. And I don't understand you. What is that now? How much? How many paper towels do you want?
All right. Okay. Well, I think you pretty much covered my stuff. I had. One thing I wanted to say real quick about the whole RussiaGate situation.
God.
And that is just that these stories continue to refer to senior officials.
Yeah.
And high-level administration officials.
Top people.
Exactly. Top men. Top is what these are the people that,
Raiders of the Lost Ark,
quote, became so alarmed that they started to pursue this thing. What we've not figured out in this entire investigation yet is who gave the initial order to open an investigation into the President of the United States for being a Russian spy. What dude or chick, what person said, you know what? He could be a spy because he asked the Russians to listen.
Well, it wasn't only that. They went through I didn't read the list off here, but they had a list of a dozen or half a dozen things on why he was a spy.
Well, yeah, we just showed.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry, you showed that.
It's
right.
insane, though. The list is crazy. The list has.
I mean, and of course, serious politicians, which is kind of an oxymoron, have taken this as real stuff.
Well, that's what I don't think so. I think this is just more political.
Dick Durbin is one. Dick Durbin.
Man, look, that guy. He was his comments. You can see he's such a bad actor. It's horrible. He's as bad as Schumer. He came out and he said, "Did you see him?" His quote was, "I don't know why Trump's best buddy is Putin. It's so weird."
Yeah,
it's
right. I
I
didn't accuse that, but I pulled the quote out here.
Like the implication is obviously. I mean, I don't know why Trump and Putin were naked in the bedroom together. I can't imagine what they were doing in there. All I know is they were naked in the bedroom together. It's so weird. This is just political stuff, and everybody should expect this political stuff back and forth.
I wish I could find out where his quote was. I had it here.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Tariq, Bill, Bart, Tiffany, John, Jack. I hope you guys had a good time. We had some fun. Let's see. We do this twice a week. These days, 4 o'clock, Sundays and Wednesdays. This is the Jimmy Doane Show. Yeah.
We'll have more news.
Yeah. I had something on the border I was going to say too, but we'll get back. I'm confident we'll get back to that now that the caravan is out there.
Oh, that's right, the new caravan.
Right, and we still have a shutdown. So, all right. We'll see you next time.